Let's talk about feeling behind in your business, like you move too slow, like everything takes you so much longer than everyone else, and that you're comparing yourself where you are right now to every other person that you're following online. I completely understand. I walked away from my business for nearly 3 years, and I cannot tell you the amount of time and energy that I have spent over the years wondering what would have happened if I hadn't done that, what momentum I lost when I was first starting out in my business that I then took a break from, all of the different things. But I can tell you without shadow of a doubt that that time away allowed me to regroup, it allowed me to learn some new things, it allowed me to do some different business related stuff that meant that I learned things that I never would have known, had experiences that I never would have had, and come back with a new perspective and insight and all of the things to make my business what it is today. But I know that feeling when you're looking at what everyone else is doing, you're following all these amazing people online, you're seeing what your peers and your friends and your mentors are doing, and you're sitting there and you're behind the scenes thinking, why does it seem so easy for them and everything takes me so long? Let's talk a little bit about where that feeling comes from, how we can unpack it and keep moving forward. So I totally understand when you feel like things take you a long time, when you feel like maybe you're behind or you move really slowly in comparison to the people that you follow online, your peers, your friends, your mentors, other people that you are watching and comparing where they are with where you are and what's happening in your world. There are also plenty of messages out there, usually in sales copy and on sales pages, that are telling us we're moving too slowly, we are letting fear take the wheel, we're choosing a lower vibration, we're letting ourselves get caught in our heads and not taking enough action, we're not moving fast enough, and if we don't hurry up, we will never be successful. If we don't take action, if we don't do that thing right now. And so of course, it can really mess with our heads and it can make us think that there's something wrong with us, that we need someone to sell us a fix to the way that we work. And I just think that that's an old-fashioned message within an old-fashioned system that when we get to the heart of it, a lot of us actually know this isn't really aligned with our higher truth. For those of us who need to work things out, to sit with something, to actually take the time to see the bigger picture, to really feel into and let stuff kind of bubble away, simmer away on the stove before it's ready to go. This way of thinking can actually really mess with our heads and make us think that we are not good enough and that we will never be successful until we become those people who have an idea and get it out straight away. Not to mention that there are so many reasons why you might move at a slower pace that isn't just about mindset or about holding yourself back or about fear. So let's dive into it, and I promise you it is not going to necessarily be the most comfortable thing. It is going to take some self-inquiry, some self-leadership to actually reconnect with who you are, what you need, how you work best, and just really being honest with yourself to get to the heart of this and start shutting out that external noise. When every person and their dog may be trying to tell you, especially if you're scrolling social media, that you're sabotaging yourself or you're letting fear hold you back, I want to invite you to take a moment and ask yourself, why do you feel like you're moving too slowly? What or who is telling you that that is the case? And is it actually true? First of all, it's important to really take some time to establish what's actually going on in your world right now. What is taking a lot of your time and energy away from your business? And if you need to compare it with where somebody else is, remembering that different people have different roles and responsibilities. They have different amount of time and money and energy to put into their business that isn't being spent elsewhere, and that might be different to your situation. I know this is not something that we hear or talk about that often, but it is not always fear and mindset issues that are getting in the way of you being able to just take extreme and immediate action in your business. Your behind the scenes is always going to look different to somebody else's highlights reel that they share as a part of their story, as a part of their journey. And so I want to actually establish, like, what are some of the things that are going on in your world that you need to actually acknowledge and account for in your day-to-day that are going to take time and energy away from what you can put into your business. This might be having kids or parents that you need to look look after. It might be having other roles and responsibilities that take an extreme amount of your energy, your attention, and your focus on a day-to-day basis. It might be the fact that you have a full-time job and you are making time throughout the week and the weekend to put a little bit of time into your business, but that so much of your time throughout the week is spent at work, commuting to work, and then resting after a full day of work. Do you have a physical or a mental illness? That means that your ability and your capacity to show up in the same way as someone who doesn't have that is able to. Do you hold marginalized identities and deal with forms of systemic oppression on a daily basis that may not even always be conscious, that are taking time and energy and effort away, that mean that you cannot show up every single day in the same way for your business? Or are you someone who just needs extra time and space to work out your ideas, to sort out what's going through your head, and then actually move through the process of putting work out into the world? All of these things play a part when it comes to how fast you're moving and what that speed looks like what that pace looks like. See what I mean? There are so many nuances that we need to take into consideration. And that's before we even start to look at things like mindset, at things like fear and visibility and other elements. Is it things like confidence? Is it uncertainty or not knowing what to do next because you've never run a business before? Is it that you're worried what people will think, or you have other underlying things that mean visibility is actually challenging for you? Is it that you are desperately needing to make money to pay your bills right now, and that puts an energy onto your business and a desperate kind of fear around, if this doesn't work, I am in a bit of financial trouble? Is it that when you decided to start a business, you loved the idea of it, but the actual expression of it, the actual things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis don't actually align for you anymore? Or is it just that you are judging yourself on what your expectations are versus what is actually reality for you? So take a moment, feel into it. And when you're getting ready to show up in your business, take this time to check in and ask yourself, what do I have the capacity for today? What am I feeling right now in this moment? Does the thought of sharing this post or hitting publish on this article or going live right now or inviting someone to book in a call with me or sitting in front of someone and telling them what my prices are, what is coming up for me? It can be so uncomfortable to actually sit with yourself and ask these questions, and so much easier to distract ourselves looking at what other people are doing and where we're maybe falling short. But I can promise you, when we turn within and we actually start to see what's going on, the pace at which you move, how fast or slow that might be, stops mattering so much. When we start to turn within, which is for more introverted people actually one of our key strengths and our biggest guiding lights, we start to realize that we're not actually competing with anyone, that we're not in a race, that we're not falling behind, and that the pace at which we move is completely fabricated by maybe ourselves, but also by external messages and conditioning that we've maybe had coming our way our whole lives. Not only will we never truly know what's going on in anyone else's business, no one will ever truly know what's going on in our business either. What we think we want, what we think success looks like, what we think someone's overnight success or them being able to move really fast looks like, is based on what we're seeing from our perspective versus what is potentially going on behind the scenes. What is more important than looking at everybody else and their situation is actually sitting with ourselves and asking what we're willing to commit, what we have the capacity to commit, and what we're going to show up for in our business. Will we show up each month, each day, whatever that looks like for you in your capacity, and actually show up for the business and the work, call in the clients, share what we do, and invite people to take the next step with us? Are we willing to commit the time, the energy, and possibly the money into growing our business, into getting new clients, into having people know that our work exists? This commitment is actually really important. The idea of a business is great. It's so exciting, and it can feel like we're doing work when we're thinking of ideas, when we're scrolling social media and seeing what other people are doing, when we're looking at other people's offerings and wishing that our business is where theirs is. But what is really, really valuable is actually knowing what our commitment is to ourselves, what it is that is getting in the way for us, what it is that we have the ability to show up for, what we have the energy for, what our strengths and skills are, and how we can use that to best help ourselves, how we can use those strengths and play to them instead of wishing that we were further ahead, wishing that we moved faster, and wishing that we had a completely different set of skills and personality traits that made it feel easier for us. When we stop focusing on where others are and comparing ourselves to that, it is so freeing. It allows you to check in with yourself, your own needs, your own strengths, what's possible for you and what's available for you in the moment, and what you're willing and able to commit to. So what does that look like for you? What do you need to do that you know you haven't been doing? What do you need to actually account for in your day-to-day life that are your roles and responsibilities, the different identities that you hold, the way that you move through the world, and the things that you need to take into consideration and actually work into your business instead of wishing, pushing them into a cupboard and wishing that things were different? What do you know you need to do every day for your work? What is one small step that you can start with today? And what do you need to do or set up for yourself as a reminder each and every day that you are not running a race, that you are not behind, that you are not competing with anybody? And the only person you need to be paying attention to is yourself. You aren't competing with anyone. It takes as long as it takes. And when you are committing to this as your purpose in the world, your soul work, it is not an overnight thing. It is not I'll get this done in 6 weeks. It is a lifetime commitment to the work that you're here to do, to the journey that you are personally on, and the way that you are sharing that with other people. The fable of the tortoise and the hare is as old as time. Sure, it can look like the hare has it all together, that they are always going to win, that they are moving so quickly, and that you have no chance of catching up. But the tortoise has its own gifts and strengths. It knows who it is. It is not trying to be anyone else. And instead of focusing on how fast it's going in comparison with the hare, it focuses on its own race. It focuses on its own performance and doesn't worry about anybody else. In my group membership program, Emerge and Expand, we have this way of explaining it, and it is be the tortoise. If you are the tortoise, be the tortoise. I mean, if you're the hare, embrace that fully and be the hare. But for those of you who feel like you're behind, like you move too slowly, like you have no chance of ever catching up to the hare, guess what? You don't. And so be the tortoise, embrace it, acknowledge it, make a business that supports that, and trust that the journey that you're on is going to support other people who feel the same as you. Every time that I feel like I'm moving too slowly in my business, that I feel like my business is behind because I took time off it and because I need more space and quiet time throughout my week, I think about you. I think about those of you who feel like you're also moving too slowly. And I know that for me to be living and embodying this and still moving forward in my day-to-day life, I can talk on some authority about this. I can share with you my experiences and we can connect in that way, which is just such a beautiful thing. The other thing is that nobody who has ever had any kind of success in their business or in their life, or who has come up and seemed like they're an overnight success, has ever said that that's exactly what happened. It is always that they have been working in some capacity behind the scenes for many, many years, honing their craft, practicing, putting stuff out there, trying different things, and they all just happened to come together and hit that tipping point that meant that suddenly it seemed like they were everywhere. That people started saying, oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you're an overnight success. And I have never heard anyone say that's exactly what happened. It was always that they were doing other things behind the scenes to lead to that point. But we have to remember that we're constantly being sent messages that this overnight success, that speed and accelerating through our business journey is the only way to be successful. And I just don't believe that's true. I would love to hear from you if you found this helpful. Which questions are you really sitting with right now? And do you feel like the tortoise sometimes? What do you do when you feel like that? And what do you try and remember each and every day about who you are and your unique skills and experiences that you bring to the table? If you're interested in creating a business that is more aligned with your personal strengths and your unique gifts, I am running a free online training that is called Introvert Friendly Business. It is going to be how to create a business that's fully aligned with your energy, how to keep tweaking and moving through that, and the things that you can do to really embrace that instead of wishing that you were different. If you're interested, you can grab all the details in the description below. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch you next week.